in English, but I know you've been coming here to Melbourne for a long time, to this tournament, more than 20 years, and I'm just curious sort of what you make of the evolution of this place and the vibes of this tournament. There's been a lot of talk about they're smashing attendance records constantly, and there's also complaints on the other side that it's gotten overcrowded and it's hard to get into courts, and things have gotten maybe too corporate or too commercial on certain different sides of this tournament. So I'm wondering, from your perspective as a veteran of this place who's seen the years go by here and just lots of different tennis angles, like what you make of that sort of push-pull between excitement over growing and the idea that something's being lost by maybe being overstuffed or getting too crowded, too corporate, too commercial, too sort of profit-centric at times.
Having too much crowd on this or any other tennis tournament is a very good problem to have. I think there are much worse problems to have. So I think every tournament wants record-breaking attendance and ticket sales, and that's what I've been hearing actually this year and the last couple of years for most of the slams and tournaments. So I mean, it's a good sign. I mean, obviously we want more attention, more people coming and wanting to watch the tennis live and follow it and live stream, etc. Obviously I don't know the possibilities of further expanding the facilities or not. I'm not obviously familiar with that dynamic, but I like what I have seen as evolution of this tournament. I like when the tournament is nurturing a mindset of always wanting to improve and get better in terms of facility, providing better conditions for players to practice, play, recover, and that's what I've been seeing. I mean, first time I came over to Australia, for the juniors, 2003, I think, or something like that, 2005 for the professional.
Have you ever imagined that success could become suffocating? That fame, the very thing athletes chase, could slowly turn into a kind of pressure chamber? What Novak Djokovic recently shared about Melbourne wasn't just a routine press conference answer. It felt like a window into the machinery behind one of the biggest sporting events in the world, the Australian Open. And surprisingly, the story also connects to the surge of rising stars like Alex Eala, and what global attention really does to a tournament. Let's rewind. Djokovic was asked what many thought was a harmless question, about how the event has evolved over the years. Instead of a generic answer, he took everyone back 2 decades. Early 2000s, Melbourne looked very different. There were no sprawling luxury player lounges, no futuristic recovery labs, no massive corporate activations dominating every corner of Melbourne Park. Back then, players sometimes trained in facilities belonging to the Collingwood Football Club, sharing equipment, ice baths, and modest gym space across the road. It was functional, intimate, almost raw. Fast forward to today. It's an empire. Glass architecture, climate-controlled indoor courts, elite dining, recovery rooms that look like something out of a sci-fi film. The Australian Open didn't just grow, it transformed into a global entertainment machine. But here's the tension. Growth attracts crowds. Crowds create energy. Energy builds prestige. And prestige brings chaos. In recent years, fans have increasingly complained about packed walkways, difficulty accessing smaller courts, and an overall feeling of overcrowding. Social media has amplified it. Lines are longer. Sessions feel tighter. The grounds buzz almost non-stop. Some call it poor organization. Some call it commercialization. Some say the soul of the event is getting swallowed by its own success. Djokovic's response: blunt. He essentially suggested that overcrowding is a good problem to have. 'Cause what does it mean? Means people care. Means tennis is thriving. Means demand is exploding. From his perspective, this is the natural price of greatness. When a tournament becomes one of the crown jewels of global sport, you don't get quiet pathways and empty stands. You get suffocating energy. And here's where the modern twist comes in. The rise of international stars from emerging tennis nations, including players like Alex Eala, adds new waves of global fans. New countries tune in. New communities show up. New demographics buy tickets. That momentum doesn't just elevate players, transforms events. So is the chaos a catastrophic failure? Or is it proof that the sport is expanding beyond its traditional borders? Djokovic, who has witnessed the event's evolution from borrowed gyms to billion-dollar infrastructure, seems to believe this is the cost of growth. You don't build an empire without attracting a crowd. And you don't attract a crowd without pressure. The real question isn't whether Melbourne has changed. It's whether tennis, as a whole, is ready for what that change represents. Because when legends speak about suffocating success, they're not complaining. They're acknowledging something bigger. The game is no longer contained. It's global. He didn't sugarcoat it. When Novak Djokovic was asked about the chaos, the congestion, the overwhelming crowds in Melbourne, his answer landed like a clean ace down the tee. Yes, it's a problem, he said. But it's a very good problem to have. Let that sink in. Packed stadiums, tickets gone in minutes, fans fighting for standing room. To some, that sounds like mismanagement. To Djokovic, that's the dream. Now flip the image. Imagine empty seats, muted applause, echoes bouncing around half-vacant arenas. That's the real nightmare. For a player who has lived through eras of transformation at the Australian Open, silence is far more terrifying than noise. But then the conversation turned to the moment that truly ignited debate, the scheduling storm surrounding Alex Eala, the golden girl of the Philippines, the name that suddenly carried the weight of an entire nation. Djokovic didn't dodge it. You could argue it was maybe a poor schedule, he admitted. And that's where it gets interesting. Organizers placed a surging star, backed by millions of passionate supporters, on a smaller court. What followed wasn't ordinary enthusiasm. It was a fan explosion. Picture it. Thousands pressing toward the gates. Security scrambling. Walkways overflowing. An entire community rallying behind their champion. From the outside it looked like chaos. From Djokovic's perspective, it looked like the birth of something powerful. She's coming from the Philippines, a huge country hungry for glory, he implied. And now she carries their hopes on the global stage. That kind of surge doesn't fit neatly into a timetable. It overwhelms it. Yes, the early rounds of a slam are complicated. Big courts are often reserved for established champions. The schedule is tight. The margins for error are thin. But here's the deeper truth Djokovic was pointing at. Overcrowding around her match wasn't proof of failure. It was proof of life. Proof that tennis is expanding beyond its traditional strongholds. Proof that new nations are investing emotionally. Proof that the sport is still breathing loudly. Growth is messy. Evolution disrupts comfort. When new fans flood the gates, infrastructure gets tested. Systems strain. Adjustments become urgent. But the alternative? Gradual irrelevance. Half-empty stands. A sport fading quietly instead of roaring forward. Djokovic's message was brutally honest. Progress hurts, but stagnation kills. We are watching an era where tradition collides with global expansion, where emerging stars from nations once considered outsiders are redrawing the map of influence. So here's the real question. Would you rather sit comfortably in a quiet stadium with easy access and empty seats? Or push through the crowd, shoulder to shoulder, knowing you're witnessing history in real time? Because the answer to that question may shape how this game evolves next. Tennis isn't shrinking, it's stretching. And stretching always comes with tension.
And I remember we were using the Gym B, as it was called, which was across the road. I forgot what the name of that AFL club is, Essendon, maybe, something like that. Sorry? Collingwood, sorry, my bad. I know there's a big rivalry, so I apologize. And, you know, so they were allowing the Australian Open to use their facilities and the bigger gym, you know, ice baths and everything. And then obviously there was an expansion of the facilities with the National Tennis Center, indoor courts, more practice courts, better recovery, more locker rooms, you know, better facilities for the player dining. So all positive signs, to be honest. I think Australia has always been one of the best in that. So I don't see any negatives there. And now it's really about how do you find balance, and how do you manage the amount of people that is entering the premises, and whether I saw the other day with Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's big interest. So things like that happen. I mean, it's you could argue that it was maybe a poor schedule, and maybe they could schedule them on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's so young and she's just coming through. So and obviously the first couple of rounds, the schedule is so packed. The big courts with big names, it's difficult. It's not easy to manage that. But again, it's a good problem to have, to be honest. Let's just imagine if there's a lack of people coming, or that stands are empty. That's a bigger problem. I mean,